Hi everybody, welcome to our Chapter 8 lecture video. Section 8.1 is about problem solving with US measurement units. So this whole chapter we're going to be doing unit conversions, and in this first section we are focused on US measurement units, which should be pretty familiar to all of us. But if they are not familiar, I have them all in a table for you up top. So some US system length conversions would be like 1 foot equals 12 inches, 1 yard equals 3 feet, 1 yard also equals 36 inches, a mile equals 5,280 feet. And so I've got those for length conversions, you've got weight conversions, some volume conversions, and some time conversions up top. You do not need to memorize any of these, although you may already have some of them memorized. For your final exam, you'll actually have a conversion sheet that you use for this whole section. So you don't need to memorize anything, you just need to know how to use it. So let's learn how to use these, okay? So for each one of these, what we're going to do is do a conversion ratio and convert using that, okay? So our first example, we have 10.5 feet equals how many inches? So what I'm starting out with is 10.5 feet. Then I want to go from feet to inches. So then I'm looking up at all of these different conversions. I know that feet and inches are lengths, and up here I can find 1 foot equals 12 inches. So this is the one that's important to me right here. So that's the one that I'm going to be using, okay? So to go from feet to inches, since I start with feet, I need feet in the denominator to cancel out, and I want inches to be in the numerator because that's what I want to end up with. So whatever you're trying to cancel goes in the denominator, whatever you're trying to end up with goes in the numerator. Then I'm looking at my length conversion up here that says that 1 foot equals 12 inches to know that 1 goes with the feet and 12 goes with the inches. I'm setting this up so that I know if I'm multiplying by 12 or dividing by 12. It helps you to know what you're doing. So in this case, we are going to multiply by 12 to get our answer. So you're doing 10.5, or if you want, you could even do 10.5 in your calculator and do 10.5 times 12. And if you do 10.5 times 12 in your calculator, you get 126. So this equals 126 inches, because what happens with our units is our feet cancel, and we're just left with the inches afterwards. Okay? Let's do another one. 2 1/3 yard equals how many inches? Okay. Well, I know 2 1/3 is like 2.3 with the 3 repeating, so that's not going to work out so well with decimals. Let's go ahead and make that into an improper fraction so I can use that a little easier. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 is 7, so this is 7/3 yards. Then I'm trying to go from yards to inches. So I'm starting with yards, so yards goes in my denominator. I want to end up in inches, so inches goes in the numerator. Then I look up here to find yards and inches. Aha, there it is. 1 yard equals 36 inches. So 1 goes with the yards, 36 goes with the inches. So I'm doing 7/3 yards times 36 inches over 1. So really this is 7 over 3 times 36 over 1. So with our fractions, I remember I can simplify. So 3 and 36 are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to divide by 3 and divide by 3. And then I just have 7 times 12, which is 84. And that's my answer, because what's going to happen is the yards cancel out and we're left with inches, which is what I'm looking for. All right, let's do another one. 1.5 miles equals how many feet? So I'm starting with 1.5 miles. I'm going from miles to feet. So I'm starting with miles, so miles goes in the denominator. I want to get to feet, so feet is in the numerator. Then I look up here, and I see that 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. So 1 goes with the miles, 5,280 goes with the feet. So in this case, I'm multiplying by 5,280. If you do that in your calculator, do 1.5 times 5,280. we end up with 7,920. All right, let's do another one. 196 ounces equals how many pounds? So I'm starting with 196 ounces. I'm going from ounces to pounds. So I'm starting with ounces, so ounces needs to be in the denominator. I'm ending in pounds, so pounds should be in the numerator. Then I look up here and I see that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So 1 goes with the pounds, 16 goes with the ounces. In this case, I'm not multiplying by 16, I'm actually dividing by 16 because it's in the denominator. I'm doing 196 times 1, which would be 196, divided by 16. 196 divided by 16 gives me 12.25. Okay? And of course, if it's not okay with decimals, you can always make that into a fraction if you need to, okay? It's 12 1/4 if you like fractions better. You guys ready for another one? Is this hopefully starting to sink in how you set these up? Okay, so the next, I'm going to let you guys set this one up and we'll see how you do. So we have 8,800 pounds equals how many tons? So pause your video, see if you can set this one up. I'll show you the setup here in 3, 2, 1. You should start out with 8,800 pounds. And then we should have 2,000 pounds in the denominator, 1 ton in the numerator. So in this case, are you multiplying by 2,000 or dividing by 2,000? You're dividing by 2,000. So if you take 8,800 divided by 2,000, we're going to get 4.4 tons as an answer. All right, let's try another one. In part F, I'll let you guys have another chance, okay? See if you can set this one up. And we'll go over the setup here in 3, 2, 1. We're starting with 8 pints. And 1 pint equals 2 cups. So you should have 1 pint in the denominator, 2 cups in the numerator. How'd you do? Okay, so in this case, are we multiplying by 2 or dividing by 2? We're multiplying by 2. 8 times 2 would be 16, so 8 pints equals 16 cups. All right, we've got 4 more down here, and I'm gonna let you guys try all 4 of them yourself. I know there's some that are time and some that are volume, but they all work the same way. We still use the same kind of conversion ratio. You have all the information on the top of this page, okay? So here's the top of the page if it helps you at all, okay? So in part G, you're doing 3.5 quarts to gallons. In part H, you're doing 32 fluid ounces to cups. In part I, you're doing 200 seconds to minutes. And in part J, you're doing 72 hours to days. So you've got 4 of them right here. I'm going to let you guys try all 4 of them. So pause your video. Okay? And we're going to go over the answers here. I'm trying to pause it so that you guys can kind of see everything. See most of them. The only one you can't see is fluid ounces. There we go. Alright, so go ahead and pause your video. See if you can get all 4 of those, and we'll go over the answer here in 3, 2, 1. For part G, 3.5 quarts. You should have 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. So you should be dividing by 4. So really you're doing 7 halves times 1/4, which would be 7/8. Since I started off in fractions, probably should end in fractions. But if you end it as a decimal, that's 0.875 as a decimal. Okay? Let's see, in part H, you should get 4 cups. So you should have a setup of 32 fluid ounces times, we have 1 cup over 8 fluid ounces. So you're dividing by 8 in this one. 32 divided by 8 should give you 4 cups. Part I, you should start out with 220 seconds. You know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So we're dividing by 60. 220 divided by 60 is going to give you 3.6 with the 6 repeating. So that simplifies to be 3 2/3 minutes. Okay? Last one, you go from 72 hours to days, so 72 hours. And we know that there are 24 hours in a day. So you are dividing by 24. 72 divided by 24, you should get an answer of 3 days. Hope you guys did okay on this, because we're going to add a little more to it on the next page. The next thing we're going to do is use 2 or 3 unit fractions to convert, okay? So what this is going to look like is sometimes we don't have those measurement conversions that go straight from one thing to the next. Sometimes you have to take it in a couple of steps. So in part A, I'm trying to go from 4 hours to seconds. And if you notice in those conversion measurements, I'll put them back up here, we don't have an hours to seconds. We can go from hours to minutes, and that's it. But then I can go from minutes to seconds. So we're going to take this in 2 steps. We're going to go from hours to minutes, and then go from minutes to seconds. Okay, so that's our strategy. So we start with 4 hours, and then I know that 1 hour has 60 minutes. Okay, so at the end of this step, I'll be in minutes, but I can keep going because now I'll end in minutes. So then I can go from minutes to seconds, and I know that 1 minute has 60 seconds. So this is a 2-step process. The first step is going from hours to minutes, so the hours cancel, will end in minutes. The second step goes from minutes to seconds, so those minutes are going to cancel. We're going to end up with seconds at the end of all of this. So what we're doing is we're going to do 4 times 60 times 60. And it's all over 1, so dividing by 1 just equals itself. So we're doing 4 times 60 times 60, and we're going to get 14,400 seconds as an answer. All right, next one. We start out with 32,000 ounces, and we want to go to tons. So with all of our conversions here, I can go from ounces to pounds, and that's it. I can also go from pounds to tons. So we're going to take a 2-step approach here. We're going to go from ounces to pounds, and then go from pounds to tons. So we're going to take it in 2 steps. You guys ready? Great. So we're starting with 32,000 ounces. And then using all my information that I have, 16 ounces equals 1 pound. So this is me going from ounces to pounds. Okay? Then I can go from pounds to tons. So looking at my unit conversions again, I see that 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton. So we're going to take this in a couple steps. We're going to start with 32,000. The ounces cancel, we'll end in pounds here. So if you take 32,000 and then divide by 16, we'll be in pounds. And then you take that answer and you divide by 2,000, the pounds cancel out. We'll end in tons. So in your calculator, you'll take 32,000, we'll divide by 16, take that answer and divide by 2,000. And we end up with exactly 1 ton. It works out perfectly. All right, last thing we're going to do is a little application problem. It says a catapult needs to be able to launch a water balloon at least 2.9 yards to hit its target. Daniel tested several catapults to see how far they could launch. His data can be seen in the bar graph below. Which catapults can hit the target? So, what I notice in this graph is that he measured the launch distance in feet, but my information says that it needs to be at least 2.9 yards. So the first thing I need to know is all of these units in yards so that we can compare them to 2.9 yards. So I'm going to let you guys have a second. Go ahead and pause your video. See if you can convert all 4 of these to yards so that we can compare them to the 2.9. So go ahead and pause your video. And we're going to go over the answer here. In 3, 2, 1. So for each one of these, you should be going from feet to yards. So if you have like 7.4 feet, you know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So for each one of these, you're dividing by 3, okay, to compare them to yards. So once you compare them to yards, which ones actually hit the target? So if you take 7.4 and divide by 3, this one is about 2.46. That's not going to hit the target. If you take 11.6 and divide by 3, you end up with about 3.86 with the 6 repeating. That's more than 2.9 yards. That one hits the target. 9.2 divided by 3 is about 3.06 with the 6 repeating yards. That's more than 2.9 yards. It hits its target. And 8.7 divided by 3 is exactly 2.9. And it says at least, so that does include the 2.9. So 2.9 or greater. So the super launcher hits its target as well. So those are the 3 that will hit their target. Hope you guys have a great week.